Thank you, Mr Speaker. This evening I rise on adjournment to speak on behalf of Tasmanians about the challenges that are being faced right across Tasmania in this current cost of living crisis. There are so many pressures on so many elements of our community that this week in Parliament, having heard responses to questions Tuesday, Wednesday, today, having heard contributions in other elements of this place, I don't feel like the current government really understand the breadth and the depth of impact that is being held and felt by Tasmanians right now. There are individuals and families, not just in the classically understood section of our community where a lot of people have for some time needed community organisations to support them and sadly have for a long time been challenged in facing their day-to-day living expenses. There are now also Tasmanians right across the spectrum in our community that are struggling with the pressure, and all we hear this government talk about is the same old approaches that they've been making to the same challenges in the community. But right now there are families across all sorts of sectors, some working 2, 3 and 4 jobs of their parents trying to look after their communities, individuals looking after their children, people living on their own that are struggling to meet their own individual costs. And it's clear to us, to Tasmanian Labor, that this government don't understand and are out of touch with the reality of what's happening to Tasmanians right across the state. On a recent visit to the northern suburbs, to the Ravenswood starting point neighbourhood house, we heard of conversations of families, not just one, but multiple families that are choosing not to have their power connected at the meter. They've got it turned off at the mains because they can't afford their heating, they can't afford their lighting, and through winter they've been going to bed early. That's how extreme these pressures are right now. But we're also hearing from businesses, small businesses that are the fundamental economic building blocks in our communities, not only in our cities but across the regions, that are also struggling, and that using exactly the same power that they've used year on year doing the same services, their bills are pushing them to the point where it's difficult to keep operating. We're hearing from large businesses, from industrials, about the challenges with the changes of their contracted prices in electricity and power. So this is not just a regular challenge for Tasmanians, and it feels like the government isn't keeping up. They're not getting the basic understanding of the pressures that are being felt right across the community. Tasmanian Labor believe that Tasmanians should be paying Tasmanian prices for Tasmanian power. Tasmanian Labor believe that Tasmania's small businesses should be paying Tasmanian prices for Tasmanian power. And Tasmanian Labor know that Tasmanian industrials should be paying Tasmanian prices for Tasmanian power. We have pushed this government to have an understanding of these concerns. We have given them the opportunity to respond to and take the right position to support Tasmanians, but they are blind. They cannot hear or don't understand, can't understand, don't want to understand the reality of the challenges being faced right across Tasmania. Now, it's not just in this cost of living crisis challenges with power. There are challenges with access to housing, there are challenges with access to jobs, there are all sorts of challenges in our community. Now, I just wanted to share with people, on the weekend I was in Bridport. Bridport, a beautiful coastal town that has a great offering of bakeries and cafes and actually some new offerings in the food market at night time. But I was at the Bridport Cafe, and I've been connecting with the owner of the Bridport Cafe for some time now, and retail, hospitality offerings in Bridport have been challenged recently, and it's been tough. And I was talking to the owner, and she said, you know what, my barista, and how essential is a barista to a local cafe. My barista has had to leave because at the end of her lease, the lease wasn't renewed, and she's had to move back to Launceston because there are no houses available for my worker here in Bridport. To lose a key part of your business because they can't access housing in a regional community in Tasmania is devastating for that business and also also for the community and the travellers and the visitors that come to that place for that experience. I've spoken to farmers, to dairies, to people irrigating with the challenges of power and also of accommodation, the costs of running a dairy or an irrigator, if you can actually get phone access to run those in regional areas. And in fact, I was in Meander recently talking about the basics of operating your business, and in Meander they don't even have reliable energy or power to run their irrigators or to run their dairies. So there are a lot of challenges right across Tasmania and also in the regions that are challenging not only Tasmanian individuals and families, challenging Tasmanian small businesses and challenging our industrials and majors across Tasmania. I want to share on the jobs front another challenge. We know that there are many people in work, but also many people choosing to work multiple jobs at the moment so that they can keep up with their costs. We know that going into a trade is a great job, but I recently visited a local iconic business in Launceston, Glasgow Engineering. I had the opportunity to go in and catch up about their work and the types of support that they're providing to a really fascinating array of entities across Tasmania, and the support that they're providing here and across the country. And John posted recently on LinkedIn concerns that he has with accessing people into his jobs. And I quote, "The current skills shortage is going to kill us. It's nearly impossible to employ a fitter machinist. We can't even encourage school leavers into the trade. We host work experience from 3 different schools locally. There's been so much emphasis on pushing high school students toward university, and I'm not saying that I disagree, because we urgently need doctors as well, but in my day at high school we used to do the things like metalwork and woodwork, and the teacher would encourage those who showed skill in those areas into appropriate trades. The problem as I see it is once those students complete year 11 and 12, and then go on to the first and second years of university, before they realise it's not for them, it's too late and they become lost in the system. Our governments are failing us. Too much money is being wasted on things like football stadiums and not being invested into areas of need, like skills and training, like health, like manufacturing, training institutes such as TAFE and education. If we don't act soon, we'll no longer be the clever country."